what I did was I asked on Instagram and Facebook if anybody had any questions that they would like me to pose to
Mhm.
you, and I received some. So I thought
Okay.
I'd go through those with you. All right.
Hmm.
So let's start. One of them, the first one. When did you first know you wanted to sing and use your music to change hearts, minds, and the world?
Oh, well, that's a big job. Um, I was 4, and singing was always this real passion that I had. I had to sing. Um, there was no way around this. And throughout my life, I've tried to do other things and try to tell myself, oh, because the music industry is a really difficult industry, and it's hard to be, in it. But from a very young age, like I was 4, I remember graduating from my preschool and wanting to sing John Denver's Country Roads was the thing at the time. Mom and Dad had the John Denver Greatest Hits album with him and Annie on the front of it. I was obsessed with that. Number one, the photo of them, I thought it was very odd for a couple to be on an album where she didn't really participate, but I guess she did because she basically inspired the whole thing. Um, so I was obsessed with that. So I had to sing Country Roads at 4. Been singing since I've been singing now 49 years of my life. And uh, I think that I've watched Jan Arden say this, and I that if you have one person that listens to something that you create, um, then you're really lucky that somebody will listen, and if they like it, and even better. Um, and that's how I view music. So I create music because I have a passion to do it, and I can't do anything else, it seems. And it's basically forced me to be a better artist because it's challenged me. And the music industry has challenged me, and where I think I sit in the music industry has challenged me always. But there's these people out there, more than one, like Jan Arden says, that is super, that are super inspired by what I do. And whether I'm singing a cover or whether I'm something I've written, because a couple of my songs that I've written are really, really popular, and then a couple of the covers are really, really popular. So when you have people like yourself and you've got thousands of fans out there and people who know who you are, and um, it's a real gift as an independent musician to have reached as far as I have. And I'm very grateful for it. I love to inspire people. I've been an advocate for the community for a long time. Uh, since I've come out, really, I when I was 27, I kind of decided I had spent enough time not being myself, and I've spent enough time in the fucking closet. And I wasn't going to do it anymore. So I think having the opportunity to inspire other people that were in that situation, like I didn't come out till I was 27. So um, especially in the community, like where I really sit uh, with my fan base. So it's awe-inspiring to me that so many people like love what I do. And it's like I said, if I had had one, I would have been happy. And now look, so um, it's been a real ride, and I really love that people love the music. As long as they love it, and I get feedback, good or bad, I'll keep creating. I'm up for the challenge.
Actually, talking about feedback, one of them that I was going to read later on, it says, Drake, you're a man who deserves to be a legend. That's nice to hear.
Well, now, who said that? I didn't
Uh,
pay anybody. I swear to God, I did not pay one person, John.
oh, I'm sure you did not. So
Legends and
that came from the
icons.
heart.
Listen, I'll tell you, when somebody, I performed in Toronto at a community event, and the person that introduced me introduces me as an icon in the community. These are all little tags, that you put before somebody's name. Um, and I really appreciate that. Like, graciousness, grace, thank you very much. To be a legend, wow. Who would have ever known? Um, but that tags those things that you say, like legends and icons. And I know why people are always afraid to be called that, because it's a lot to live up to. So, like I said, I just create this stuff, and I've got some cool stuff coming out. I'm so excited about what I have coming out, and we can talk about that later if you want. But yeah, it's been like a real thing to be called legends and icons, and I really would love to earn a place in the community someday where when I'm gone, I'm remembered. And the things that I've done have inspired other people to do things despite their age. That's the message here. Gay or straight, doesn't matter, or whatever you are, I don't care. Um, so yeah, it's a real honor. So whoever sent that to you, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I will work even harder now to make sure that what you say about me is true.
I'm sure you will. Now, here's another one. I'm curious to know what album, we're going to talk about albums in a bit, but I'm curious to know what album had the greatest impact, influence on you as a singer-songwriter.
We're going to talk about that record.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that. And that's one of them is ABBA's Visitors was a massive record for me as a kid. So yeah, it would have been, and we'll talk more about that record and why that. I'm glad that question came up. That's interesting. But so in that genre, it would be ABBA. In another genre, it would be Anne Murray, because I listen to a lot of Anne Murray. And then in other genres, like, you've got in the male, you've got Garth Brooks, and you've got all these people that influence me. I love all kinds of music, as you probably figured out by now.
Yes.
Like I like metal, and I like some death metal where that thrashy stuff where they're screaming, and I'm like, oh, I'm in like a really bad mood. I listen to that. And then I like this melancholy, and I love the divas. I wouldn't be a gay man if I didn't love the divas, right? But yeah, I those records like ABBA's Visitors has a massive impact on me as the intrigue of becoming a producer and producing my own music and sound and things like that. So that would be the answer to that one.
Okay. We'll talk about that in a bit. Now, another one, changing topic completely.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
understand that you faced bullying when younger. I'm so sorry
yeah.
you had to go through that. How did that impact your life?
Changed everything. It brought me here for sure. So I have um, a gracious hate for my past, um, or hate and grace at the same time. I don't know. It's really difficult. I don't hate much of anything, but early childhood in Glace Bay, Nova Scotia in 1975, as a really overweight gay kid wasn't pleasant. Um, and it affected me like dramatically and my mental health for a very long time, which I haven't talked about, and I'm going to. And I've applied for a grant, so let's cross our fingers that I get it. And if I get the grant, I'm going to tell my story, and it's a really interesting one, and it's riveting, and people are going to go, "Oh my God, who would have ever known?" Right? Um, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag
No.
because I really want
No.
to. I want to do this documentary, and I kind of want to do it like this, where I talk to the camera, and I have like gradually topic the thing until we get to right now. And it's a project I want to do because there's a lot of gay men like me who have suffered like this bullying thing, and they need these stories need to be told within our community of who we are and why we become the way the thing why things are we are the way we are in one time capture, and then 20 years later there's a whole bunch of habits that you drag along with you, which I did. And I was angry for a really long time, and it really affected my relationships with a lot of people, to be like completely sober. And I bullying, it is such a weird word to me because I indulged myself in it when I first started to become an advocate about it and speak about it, and never be afraid to tell your story and always be vulnerable. That's kind of it's my mantra, right? um but yeah, it's a weird thing to carry through your life, and it's a never ending cycle of sometimes the hamster wheel in your head, that you have these thought patterns that are created when you're very, very young by how other people treat you and how the world interprets you. And you carry that for a very long time, which is going to tie into what we're going to talk about later musically, and as me as a recording artist. Um, so it's taken me, I'll be honest with you, it's taken me probably up to now to really be able to love myself, like truly love myself, all of it, the shit, like, and the good and the bad, and how I am as a person, which is, you know, all I'll say is I'm an artist. So I'm a challenge. But all of these things built my character. So as I say, I love and I hate. Uh, I have a graciousness about it now, about being able to go through something, um, a major mental health crisis for a long, long time, and then finally recover. And not only recover, but at 42 years old, like literally started a brand new journey. Like music was like, I jumped into it head first again. I didn't think about it until I got to Nashville and I got behind the microphone, and I was not prepared for this. I recorded that record not prepared. The first record, On My Way to Finding You, did not work hard enough. If I had known, I was very presumptuous at 42. Um, but if I had known, I would have worked a hell of a lot harder. But it's taken up to like this point, really, to get to a point where I can say, my new thing, the new thing I have coming out, I can't wait for everybody to hear it. I'm so excited to share it and scared at the same time. So yeah, so bullying affects the whole thing. It affects the whole process. It's affected me right up till this very point here while we're having this conversation. And it's one of the reasons why I've become such an advocate for people and humanity. And I'm a very neutral person. I accept everybody and try to understand as much as I can. I kind of taken cue from Dolly Parton about having peace and being a good person. She's a exemplary role model of that. So it's been tough and it's been a real growth process. And in this documentary, pray to God I get to make it. There's going to be a reveal in this, and maybe things will make sense to people that have known me over the years. I don't know. But it's about time that I come clean and let this and release it to the universe. And I thought I would do it in a documentary with a few new songs. So the whole bullying thing will be included. But yes, it's affected my whole life, and it's been awful and it's been brilliant all at the same time. And isn't that interesting to have
Mm-hmm.
both perspectives? Good.
There's another question that, well, I'll just read it. It says you present yourself as having confidence and being positive. Were you always like this? Well,
No,
you've
no.
sort of just you've answered that in part.
Well, so I've talked about my mental health issues. Went
Yeah.
into therapy for a really long time. Therapy was a 10-year process to get over what happened to me when I was a kid.
Hmm.
Because it damaged me, like damaged me. And I had no confidence. So when I got to Nashville, this is again, we're going back to the story. When I got to Nashville and behind the microphone, and the producer said to me, she said, "You better do a damn good job." She said, "Because George Jones was there yesterday." And I was like, oh, fuck. I'm not ready for this. And that's exactly what I heard in my head. And the Nashville thing was a fight. To record the first record was a real challenge. And I hated that record when I first heard it back because it's not what I wanted to hear. Because I knew I could be better. But I also knew I wasn't at a place in my life where I could be better because my confidence, here we are, to the question, wasn't really great. And after I went through therapy and knew I was getting better, I said I didn't even like my old name. So I gave up my birth name. I took a new name and changed it legally. And I thought about this person. Who would this person be that I'm naming? What would they be like? And I created this person. So what I did was I basically made a shell of myself in the beginning, and the fake it till I made it. And to me, I've made it because I'm confident and I love what I do. Um, and that's the main thing, really. So now I've got that confidence that I didn't have then, and no, so I faked it for a really long time. I just always knew that I wanted this so bad, and I wanted to be meaningful, and I want it to leave something when I'm gone, because I'm not going to have children. Um, and I think that that was really, really like super important to me. So it's the confidence thing has always been, again, the hamster wheel, the demon, or the voice in the back of your head that keeps saying you're not good enough. You know, you're ugly, you're a fag, or you're fat, and you know, whatever, and you have no friends, and you're the nerd of the class, and everything's still there. And I'm in Nashville trying to record a record, and it was presumptuous of me, but it's a time capture. Um, and I don't regret it. I don't, because I think regret's a waste. But the confidence took a long time, and I'll be honest, it was probably um, 2 years ago when all the hard work that I'd done and connecting all the dots and deliberately trying to reason with the voices in the head, that the voice that always tells you you're not good enough. And then one day I got a hold of it. I I knew how to tame the beast. I knew it was always going to be there, but I also knew that if I didn't get a hold of it, that I was never going to be the person I wanted to be. And so I had to, you know, give up my addiction to feeling bad about myself and step into this light that I profess that, you know, everybody should have.
Mm.
Preachy. But confidence took a long time. Yeah.
And you quite likely had to go to that through that whole Nashville experience.
Uh, I think I had to go through every bit of it
Yeah.
um, to be able to get to this stage, right?
Mm.
So, yeah, it's been magical and transformational,
Mm.
and it's been a pilgrimage, and it's been tough, and it's been joyous. And basically, I wouldn't want my life to be any other way. So you know, you get lots of criticism online and things like that, and you get like really bizarre people that are obsessed with your who you're sleeping with in the nighttime, and like think about it. You know, I think about this. I lie in bed and think about this, and I'm like, wow, you're obsessed with me, with who I'm sleeping with, and especially now with what's going on with what there's CTV about me and my husband. Again, you know, like me and Michael have been together. We were talking about this on the way back about this journey, this musical journey, and it's been really amazing. And we wouldn't trade it no matter what. We've had some really tough times, but we never trade what we went through. It shaped the both of us, not just me. It
Mm.
affected him too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Now, this question is going off in another direction again. My
Mm.
mother-in-law loves your voice, especially how you enunciate. What training have you had?
Okay, so you know, when I was young, I went to voice lessons. First, it was church, and I had a great choir director who was encouraging, and I soloed in church a lot. And then I went to voice lessons when I was a teenager, which taught me the basics of pitch and you know the structure of the voice and how to use it. Um, and then later on in life, in my 20s, I went to a great vocal coach in Cape Breton, and was with her for a long time, and probably a year or two, and she was great, like really encouraged me. Um, Currently, I did take voice. I also took voice lessons from Lisa Thompson, who's in Sovereign Council. She's a metal girl. She's a vocal coach. I took voice lessons after the second album. I knew that I needed help. It was like, oh yeah, you need to like surrender and you need to go work on this to be able to do what you want. Um, so I had that guidance with her, and then now I have all of these exercises that I do regularly, and to be able to, you know, use whatever capability, because you know the voice is an interesting thing because it's a combination of a mechanical thing and an emotional thing, and you have to be able to have both. And the emotional thing for me, and thank you very much who brought this question up, I really appreciate this, talking about my voice. I love that, that people are sometimes I get a lot of feedback online about how I look, but I really love when people listen to the music. So my voice has been a real work in progress because I think I always had the mechanic part of it. I just wasn't, I was so unconfident that I wasn't allowing myself um, to emote behind the microphone and be myself because I don't think people understand the recording process and the voice and how vulnerable you are when you're in the studio because they literally take all the music off sometimes and you listen to the track. It's really difficult to listen to yourself back. Um, so all this was a very sobering experience. Anyway, I worked on it and I diligently still work on it. It doesn't come easy to me. Um, it's coming easier as my confidence has improved though. So it says a lot about really working on loving yourself. It's all about loving yourself. Like this is really corny and I get it so cliche and some people say, it's bullshit. Um, but there's a real uh, essence of yourself. The best part of yourself comes after you accept and love yourself. And the acceptance is the hardest part. For me, it was the hardest part. And um, and now I watch myself back and I'm like, oh yes, I was crazy on that interview with John. And I just love that. You want to entertain people or, whatever it is. And now I've learned how to love that. So the voice is now connecting to me as a person. So you've got mechanical and you've got emotional. I think um, it was very evident in a track I cut the other day that there was a definitive change in that connection. And that's pretty magic. So I can't wait. Whoever sent this question or compliment or whatever, thank you very much again. And I can't wait for you to hear this new cover that I have coming out because we're really, really excited to release.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for doing this and for spending as much time as you have with me.
Oh,
I've
I could.
really enjoyed it.
I think I think we could probably go on for another hour at least. Nobody else will stay. So, but we should do it again sometime.
Yeah, okay. That'll be part two.
Then we could do part two. Yeah, I love when people like send in questions.
Yeah, that I was pleased that uh and they were thoughtful questions.
Very, 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 very. I'm very graciously like flattered by all of these things. So thank you
Yeah.
everybody for asking questions because it gave us something to talk about. I I don't shut up. That's my problem.